Forest Lodge did not simply arrive on the scene as another property transaction. It exploded like a silent grenade in the endless theater of royal image making, and the shockwaves are still rattling through Windsor's manicured hedges. Because this isn't about bricks, ivy, or a few acres of land, this is about symbolism, about who gets to claim the narrative crown, and about how silence can sometimes roar louder than a podcast marathon. Imagine it a sprawling estate with rose gardens stretching like chapters in a fairy tale, a private lake glimmering like a shield against paparazzi drones, and tennis courts that whisper, "This is where winners play." It is the kind of home that doesn't just keep secrets, it manufactures a legacy. And while Catherine and William now hold the keys, the bitter irony is that Meghan once pictured herself as its mistress, sipping organic tea on the back terrace and believing the world would finally bow to her version of royal glamour. But here's the twist that burns like acid. William and Catherine didn't just move in, they paid for it in full, no taxpayer penny, no royal allowance, not even a Netflix drip. Just their own wallets casually flexing with the kind of financial independence Meghan once tried to rebrand as her personal anthem. The move was surgical one stroke that cut through years of narrative battles without so much as a headline campaign. Now contrast that with Montecito, the so-called Californian palace, where Meghan posts curated pasta bowls under golden hour light. In this tale, Forest Lodge becomes the invisible crown Catherine wears, while Meghan is left clutching the wooden spoon of Instagram relatability. One image is regal silence, the other is staged lifestyle content. And the public predictably has chosen their queen. Because let's be clear, Catherine didn't fight for attention, she absorbed it by refusing to play. No press tours, no woe is me interviews, no sly digs in podcasts. Just quiet elegance, the sort of mic drop only royals truly understand. You say nothing, and suddenly everyone else is talking for you. That is why Forest Lodge is no mere mansion. It is a statement piece, a stage where power performs without ever stepping into the spotlight. For Meghan, it isn't simply a lost property. It is the haunting reminder that she was rehearsing for a play while Catherine was already crowned queen of the scene. And in this unspoken competition, the scoreboard is merciless. Catherine gains a forever home and an image polished by silence. Meghan gains a narrative wound that bleeds every time new photos of Windsor's fresh paint surface online. In the game of perception, Forest Lodge is not a house, it is a declaration. Catherine just won a battle. Meghan didn't even realize she was still fighting. But the story doesn't stop there, because what makes Forest Lodge sting isn't just Catherine's quiet triumph, it's the ghost of Meghan's own ambition haunting every corner of the estate. Years ago, when the Sussexes were still half royal, half Hollywood aspirants, Meghan reportedly toured the property with Harry walking through its halls like an actress on a set she thought she'd already been cast to star in. She saw herself hosting garden parties by the lake, positioning her new "I've made it" home as the ultimate symbol that she had cracked the royal code. In her mind, Forest Lodge was not just a house. It was her destiny. So imagine the shock when destiny handed the keys to someone else. Not only did Catherine walk away with a deed, but she did it without fanfare, without begging for approval, without turning it into a media event. The contrast is brutal. One woman whispering her triumph with fresh wallpaper, the other allegedly shouting her resentment across Montecito kitchens. And that resentment, according to insiders, has become a daily ritual. Meghan is said to obsess over every square foot, every rumored fireplace modification, every new photo that leaks from Windsor. She allegedly compares Forest Lodge's symmetry to Montecito's open spaces, counts bathrooms as though they were battle trophies, and wonders out loud whether Catherine's curtains will be custom or just restoration hardware. It isn't envy at this point, it's a fixation. Meanwhile, Harry plays his role in this tragicomedy, the professional complainer. Sources say he mutters through Montecito like a broken record, repeating one chorus, "It should have been us." He keeps a mental scoreboard ticking off wins and losses, as though marriage itself were a competitive sport. William gets admiration, Catherine gets the mansion, and what do the Sussexes get? Another Netflix project no one asked for. The image borders on farce. Meghan with her notebooks of ideas sketching titles like "The Royal Home That Got Away," while Harry sulks in the background like a man convinced the referee cheated. Together, they look less like a power couple and more like two people stuck in a never-ending audition, waiting for a role the producers quietly gave to someone else. And here lies the cruel irony: Catherine didn't steal Forest Lodge. She didn't scheme or plot or whisper to the press. She simply moved in. Meghan, on the other hand, seems to be living outside the gates, peering through them, like someone watching a party they weren't invited to, convinced the music inside was meant for them. It's hard not to laugh bitterly at this point, because while Meghan scrambles to turn disappointment into scripts, Catherine is being praised simply for existing in silence. The Duchess of Wales doesn't need camera crews or dramatic lighting. She doesn't need podcast monologues or Netflix pitches. She just moves in, arranges her children's bedrooms, picks out drapes, and somehow that quiet domesticity gets branded as the gold standard of modern monarchy. Picture it like this: Catherine has become the actress who wins an Academy Award for a single scene of sipping tea by the window, while Meghan is still rewriting the script, hiring directors, and trying to sell the pilot, only to find critics calling it forgettable before the first episode airs. That is the brutal irony of perception. The less Catherine does, the more regal she appears, while Meghan's endless noise only amplifies the vacuum of validation she so desperately craves. And this is where Forest Lodge transforms into more than just a property. It becomes a mirror. Every inch of it reflects back the one thing Meghan cannot manufacture: effortless grace. The sprawling gardens show her what influence looks like without hashtags. The ancient stone walls whisper what legitimacy feels like without a camera crew. And the locked front gates remind her that some narratives are won not by shouting but by standing still. Of course, Meghan tries to fight back with creativity. Insiders claim she has pitched everything from a Netflix miniseries about homes that define history to tongue-in-cheek comparisons of palaces versus Californian mansions. The irony is delicious. While Catherine's only series is the renovation of her own curtains, Meghan's is a production brainstorm about how she almost lived in Windsor. One is reality, the other is parody dressed as ambition. Even her fans feel the strain. Social media threads defending Meghan's modernity now devolve into arguments, with royal historians quoting 18th century property deeds. TikTok edits of Catherine walking serenely through Forest Lodge trend effortlessly, while Meghan's pasta videos trend only as memes. It is the cruel algorithm at work. Silence goes viral when it feels authentic, noise dies quickly when it reeks of desperation. The punchline writes itself. Catherine wins by drinking tea. Meghan loses by writing titles about the tea set she never owned. A storm is forming right there, because what looks like simple jealousy from the outside has reportedly hardened into a constant state of obsession behind Montecito's glass doors. Harry, once the carefree prince, now allegedly paces like a man stuck inside a game he can never win, replaying old conversations, hitting the mental restart button, only to see the screen flash game over again and again. Every whisper of Forest Lodge is for him not just a headline, but a personal reminder that he is no longer in the arena, while his brother quietly redefines what victory looks like. And Meghan, she has turned that storm into storyboards. Insiders say she has entire notebooks filled with ideas, sketches for Netflix pitches where real estate becomes the central character. In her vision, homes are more than homes. They are battlegrounds, symbols of power, mirrors of destiny. One concept allegedly frames Frogmore as the compromise, Montecito as the exile, and Forest Lodge as the golden prize snatched away at the final moment. It is half documentary, half confession, and entirely soaked in envy disguised as creativity. But here's the paradox. The louder Meghan tries to rewrite the story, the more Catherine seems to own it without speaking. She doesn't need a director, a storyboard, or a camera crew. Her only production is a quiet renovation. Her only content, a new set of curtains. And yet that stillness, that refusal to perform, becomes its own performance, one so effective that commentators call her the very image of the monarchy's future. It is in a way the cruelest twist of all. Meghan builds castles out of words. Catherine builds presence out of silence. One bangs on the table demanding to be heard. The other sits still and lets the echo do the work. The contrast is almost unbearable. And the public, they notice. Each brainstorm Meghan leaks becomes another punchline, while every unseen move Catherine makes becomes another headline. It is as if one side is producing endless episodes of a drama nobody asked for, while the other delivers a single scene so subtle that the audience applauds for weeks. So the storm grows heavier, fueled not by scandal but by silence, because when one side talks too much, the other only needs to hang a curtain to win the war of perception. This is the moment everyone holds their breath, because Forest Lodge has ceased to be just a house. It has become the scoreboard that no one can ignore. On one side, William and Catherine settled, admired quietly renovating their forever home. On the other, Meghan and Harry scrambling restless, locked in what feels like an endless audition for relevance. The contrast is devastating not because of size or money, but because of what the property represents: permanence versus transient, stability versus spectacle. Frogmore, in hindsight, was never the dream, it was the compromise. A temporary fix dressed in royal paint. Forest Lodge, however, is the crown jewel, the property that whispers forever, the word Meghan once longed to attach to her own royal identity. Instead, that word now belongs to Catherine, and the sting of it is unbearable. Meghan has tried to answer with aesthetics. Marble countertops, curated bookshelves, sunlight pouring into a California kitchen, styled like a Vogue spread. Montecito was supposed to be the cooler, more modern counterpoint to Windsor's tradition. But the internet is merciless. What Catherine does looks regal. What Meghan does looks staged. Catherine's home is praised as classic, timeless, quietly royal. Meghan's more like an upscale showroom with Wi-Fi. And this is where the real battle ends, not in bricks, not in ivy, not even in acreage, but in perception. Catherine, by doing less, has achieved more. Meghan, by doing more, has gained less. The public sees Catherine walking her children through Forest Lodge gardens with a cup of tea, and the image becomes iconic. The public sees Meghan producing lifestyle clips and Netflix brainstorms, and the response is a collective eye roll. One side has impact, the other, only noise. Harry feels it too. Every report suggests his frustration grows with each new photo, each glowing headline, each reminder that his brother secured not just a property, but a narrative. He replays the what-ifs, counts the missed chances, nurses the resentment. But the silence from Windsor is unbreakable, and in that silence lies victory. So Forest Lodge stands not as a home, but as a monument. It is the final card laid on the table, the ace that ended the game, the scoreboard that reads louder than words ever could. Catherine and William respected, thriving, timeless. Meghan and Harry bitter, circling, caught in a loop of their own making. And the cruelest truth: you can renovate a kitchen island, you can brainstorm a documentary, you can even post pasta videos in golden light. But you cannot build a fairy tale on envy.